Hey crafty friends, it's Alyssa with Crafting to Cope, and I'm on today with a first of my craft fair series. So this is a tutorial for this adorable little treat favor box, and I like to have smaller priced items on my table for my craft fair. And so each year I do things like the nail files, little pencil packs, those types, just cutesy little things for stocking stuffers or cute little gifts to give with a gift card. And so I thought I'd try these this year. I've never made them for a craft fair before, so I thought I'd try them. So I made these cute little boxes and I put tags on them and decorated them a little bit, not too fancy. And what's inside is a roll of Lifesavers. And I just thought they would be something cute to add to my craft fair. And so I got the idea, and then I, found everything, and I went to the store to buy Lifesavers and could not find them at the store. Apparently, they just sell them at the store in the bags of the little individually wrapped ones. But I did find them eventually, and we'll talk about that. But before we get started, I'm going to go through with you the items that you're going to need in order to make this project. And so to make this box, it's a dye-free project. You don't need a dye. We're going to use a paper trimmer, and then we're going to use a scoreboard with a score tool or a bone folder of some sort. If you want to add a tag, something to cut the tag, I have this tag punch that I got at a garage sale, and it is ancient, but it cuts out 3 different size tags, and I use these 2 sizes, so I thought I would use that. And then if you want to put tags on it, you need something to punch a hole in it. I just use my trusty crocodile. You're also going to need a pair of scissors if you're going to make a tag, twine or something to attach the tag. Glue, I use wet glue, so I use the My Sweet Petunia glue press, and then inside I have art glitter glue, so you're going to need that. Or some type of glue. I find wet glue to be easier for the box. And then Lifesavers, I did find them, but I had to order them off of Amazon. So I ordered this big pack. It came with 20 rolls of Lifesavers, and I will link them below. And I just thought this would be fun. And if I don't sell them in the craft fair, I thought they would be fun gifts to give away at work or things that my son could share with his friends at school. I just figured they'd get used somehow if they didn't sell. Plus, I also really like Lifesavers, so it will all work out. And then you're going to need some paper and something to embellish your box with if you choose to do that. And so I'm going to use 8.5 by 11 paper. And the reason I'm going to use that is from one sheet of 8.5 by 11, I can get 3 boxes out of one sheet. And so I had already cut the paper that I was going to use, but then I thought, why don't I cut the paper on camera so you can see how to cut it to get the most out of your piece of paper. So we're just going to use this cute little paper here to cut it, and then I'll use the ones that I already cut ahead of time. And so we're going to take our trimmer here, and we can't use 6 by 6 paper because we do have to cut it at 6.5. You could use the 6 by 8 paper pad, which would have smaller designs on it. That would be fine. But I just like to use this Hobby Lobby paper because it is a good value. Actually, I'm going to start this way. It's a good value because I got it at 50% off. So it was, $5 for the whole pad. And I can make 3 boxes out of 1 sheet of paper. And there's a lot of paper in that pad. So, and it only needs to be one-sided. So you're going to cut the paper at 6.5, and then you're going to turn it, and you're going to cut at 4 inches, and then 4 inches. So we now have 2 boxes, and then this is your offcut, which you're not going to have a lot here. Then you're going to cut this one at 6.5, the other offcut that you had. And then you're going to have this extra piece. I'm going to hang on to this because I can make a tag out of that. And then you're going to cut this one at 4 inches. And so you have the piece you're going to make a tag out of. And then these 2 pieces you can just toss or keep if you wanted to put them on something else. Either way. And that's all you're going to use your trimmer for. And so I'm actually going to use, I had set aside an embellishment, so I've already cut other paper so I could make a bunch of different boxes. And so I'm actually going to use this paper for our example. I just wanted to show you how to cut it. And the reason I want to use that paper is because I got these cute Holly stickers at Hobby Lobby, and I thought they would be cute on the boxes just for a little variety. And so what you're going to want to do is take out your scoreboard. And again, I just use this little one for this. And you're going to want to put the short end at the top. And then you're going to want to score at 1/2 inch. And then at 1 3/8, at 2 1/4, and at 3 1/8. And I actually have a little cheat sheet that I use for this. And so what I'm going to do is I'll show you my little cheat sheet. It helps me. It tells me where to cut, where to score, and everything. I'm going to, on Instagram, so my Instagram is Crafting to Cope, just like my YouTube. I'm going to put a picture of these finished products on my Instagram. And if you slide over to the second picture, I'm going to put this little cheat sheet there for you so you can see what all the cuts are. And if you don't have Instagram, let me know in the comments below and I could share with you. If you didn't want to stop the video and keep track of where to score, you can just let me know. I'd be happy to help with that. Okay, so after you're done scoring here, you're going to turn it so the 6 1/2 inch is at the top. And then what you're going to want to do is, now it gets a little tricky to hold, you're going to want to score it again at 1/2, and then you're going to score it at 1 3/8, and then you're going to score it at 5 1/8, and at 6 inches. And that one I got to do again. All right, and then that's all you're going to need the scoreboard for. So you can put that away for right now. Actually, I'm going to leave this out because I'm going to need that to crease my box. So then what you're going to want to do is then you have to do a little bit of cutting. So life gets interesting. And that's where this little template that I use kind of tells me where I need to cut and where I need to score. So I lied. We're still going to need our scoreboard later. But it tells you where to cut and where to score. Actually, I'm not sure if we need it. But so I just keep this handy so I don't screw anything up. And so essentially, I just follow and start cutting. So here, I'm going to want to cut these. You follow these little crease lines, which I'm sure it's hard to see on camera, but you're going to want to cut these 2 boxes off here. Make sure you cut it all the way through, unlike me. I have to hold it so far away to stay in camera, so I don't always get it right. All right, and so you're going to cut those little pieces off. And then you're going to take these 2, and we want to cut it so it's kind of at an angle a little bit because we want the box to kind of be able to fold in. So we're going to cut these 2 at a little bit of an angle up to here. So this is going to be one little flap. Then what we're going to do is we are going to just kind of go down each side and make different cuts. So here we're going to cut again on this crease line. I'm sorry, I am out of the camera. So we're going to get and cut this right here. And then the other thing I forgot to tell you that you would need is to just make it look like a real box with little like flaps and stuff. You're going to use a little 5/8 inch circle punch. You can also just cut this with the scissors, but I want the cute little flap. Like if you look here, it has this little divot just like a box, so this goes in easier and you can see where you lift it out. So I just use this little punch to do that. And so what I do is I just go right in here just a little bit, and then I'm going to punch it so it has this little divot here. Okay, then we're going to go down to this flap and we are going to cut all the way down here Then we're going to cut this one in half. So right here, you see is a crease line, and right here is a crease line. We're going to cut right in half at this crease line. So this is a half a flap. And then we're going to cut here at this next crease line all the way down. So this one we're going to trim because this is going to be this inside flap here. We're going to trim that, but I find it easier to trim this one after I cut this one. So this one is going to be another half, just like this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slice it in half. And then for this one and this one, they're both sliced here. I'm going to, again, kind of trim them at an angle so it's easy for me to fold them in. I'm just going to trim off like a little triangle down to that crease line. See right there? And I'm going to do that on both of these sides. And then I'm going to just gently take out this extra. It's a lot of cutting, but you know, after you do a lot of them, after you get 20 of them done for your 20 rolls of Lifesavers, it actually gets a lot easier. And it also helps because I just sit and look at this picture where it tells me everything that I need to do. And again, I'm happy to share that. So I just trim this like this. So now if you look at this, it is cut just like on here. See? And then now I'm going to do the other side. So we already did the first one. So you can just cut this all the way down to that line. And then sometimes it's easier if you just cut all of them and then start going through and doing the little things you need to do to each of them. So this first one is going to be rounded just like this one. So I'm just gonna, well, that's not very rounded, but you get the gist. There. It's gonna be rounded. It doesn't have to be perfect because it's tucked in. This is gonna be one of the ones that we're gonna cut in half. So from this line to this line, we're just gonna, doesn't have to be perfect because it's tucked. This one we're gonna cut all the way down here. And again, we're gonna put that little 5/8 inch, we're gonna cut a little divot there. So either end of the box can be opened, and then this one we're going to cut in half again, and you can kind of just follow along that line. So here, the half ones, we're going to cut these little corners off so they fold easy. Okay. Then we are going to cut this half a circle again. So we have that little way to open it. All right, so then if you look, I have this little cheat sheet and it looks just like my little cheat sheet. So this is a game changer. It just helps me keep track of what I'm doing. I'm sure this would be easier if you had a die, but I do not have a die that is the perfect size for a pack of Lifesavers. So then what we're gonna do, take a bone folder, side of your scissors, whatever you want to take, and we're going to start folding. Make sure you do it right. We're going to start folding on all the creases that we scored at the beginning. And what I do is I actually do these big creases first. I don't know why, I just find it easier, and then I just flip all these over and do them all at the same time. I just want a nice burnished edge so I have a nice crisp box. And then of course you have to do these little ones, which I'm just going to lightly do them like this. All right. So now what we're going to do is we are going to glue the box together. And so what we're going to do is this flap right here, you put the glue on the colored side. So if the inside of your paper is white, You want the glue on the colored side because it's going to fit right here like this. Okay. And I'm actually going to use my other kind of bone folder for this because I like to kind of push it inside. So you're going to take your glue. Again, I use wet glue. And I'm just going to put a nice amount on here because I want it to stay shut. And art glitter glue dries pretty quick, but I usually just kind of take my sweet time so it starts to dry before I put a box together. The other great thing about art glitter glue is it does dry fast, but it has a little bit of a give. So you're going to want to just push the box together to the best of your ability. You can put your fingers inside the box to kind of push it and slide it around where it needs to go. And so you see you can just kind of slide it till it lines up. And then after I get it where it needs to go and I push down a little bit, I'm going to set it down on the table with the flap at the bottom. And I just feed this in here and kind of push it down so I can get that glue to adhere. And it is pretty quick how art glitter glue dries, but I'm going to just give it a minute just to make sure that it's all dry. Then what you can do is you can just start folding one end of the box. So it doesn't really matter. This is non-directional. So I'm going to fold this end of the box as my bottom. You can put a dab of glue here if you wanted to and glue it shut. I've noticed mine just usually stay shut. This one seems to be not wanting to stay shut, but usually when you have the Lifesavers inside, adding a little bit of pressure, it'll stay shut. But I think what I might do is just put a little dollop of glue here, just a tiny little bit. So, and then I'll push it again, add a little pressure down there. And so it kind of looks like a little lipstick box now. It's all ready. And so then you can just take your pack of Lifesavers, make sure that the glue's sticking. I usually let it dry a little bit, but we're on camera, so we're not going to do that. And, add a little pressure for that bottom to make it stay shut. And it's just this adorable little box. Then what you can do is you can take like your offcut here and you can feed it into a punch or whatever you want to do. And let's see, I'm just going to cut one tag here. I'm just going to feed it in there like that so I see it lined up. And then I'm going to just cut my tag out. And then this punch, I got to put in a little elbow grease because it's so old. Then I have this little tag, and while my glue's drying, I'm just going to put a tiny little hole in it. And so I just put that in my crocodile. So here's where, like if you're using a grommet, it would squish your grommet down. Here on the side, there's two different sizes to poke holes, and I'm just going to use the little side. You just line it up in there, and you can see it kind of coming down. Here, let me try and turn it to the side so you can see. You line it up where you want it, and you can see that little piece where the hole is going to cut. Well, you can if you're not trying to get on camera. Anyway, you just line it up. See how that piece is right there? I don't know if you can see that. That's where it's going to cut the hole, and then it goes away. So I didn't line this one up very good, but you get the idea. Then I'm going to take some twine, and I just like to wrap it around a few times just to add a little bit, make it cutesy. So I just add it on there, and then I'm just going to tie a quick little knot to keep the twine in place before I put the tag in, because I don't want the twine to unravel and the tag to fall off and all the things. So I just tie a quick little knot in there, and then I will add the tag on the twine and tie another knot. And I don't tie a bow or anything. I just kind of leave them hanging because I'm going to put an embellishment on there. So then I'll just take my scissors. I'm going to use these ones. I just take my scissors and trim a little off. So I just leave a little bit hanging. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add one of these cute little holly stickers to it. And these again are from Hobby Lobby. They were $1.99, but I always buy all my stuff at 50% off. And so I'm just going to stick this sticker kind of right here on top of the tag. And I'm going to try and get this out of here. There we go. So I just have this cute little box now, and it's just a cute little favor that you can give to someone at Christmas, add to your table. I'm not sure what I would sell these for. I'd probably sell them. Usually I do like $3 or 2 for $5 on a lot of my little favors, you know. So that's probably what I would do is $3 or 2 for $5. And so it's just an adorable little favor. And I kind of stuck the holly down this way because this is an actual sticker. So I'm going to have to adhere something to the back here of where it's sticking out so it doesn't stick to anything. And I'll do that. What you can do is you can put a little powder back there, or you could add a little piece of paper on the back of it, like a little scrap, so it's not sticky, or just leave it out till it dries out, which you probably will. So that is my cute little Lifesaver Favors, and I again am going to do a craft fair series and try to do a bunch of fun little projects to share with all of you. I will post this on Instagram. Otherwise, if you wanted to send me an email, my email is linked above. I can scan this to you if you want to see this little cheat sheet, which again, it tells you everywhere to cut and score, and then it has this nice visual. Again, once you kind of make a few of them, like I made my first 2 and I breezed through the rest of these in like no time, and I cut all of these while I was kind of watching TV. Like I scored them all, and then I went upstairs and watched a show with my husband, and I was just trimming them all while we were watching TV. So if you want me to share that with you, you can send me an email or head on over to my Instagram page, and I will post a picture of this there to kind of help you along the way. And then all the links for everything I used will be below. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I hope you have a great day. Bye.